Hello and welcome to the Assetto Corsa Competizione Sim Series. We are here today for our finale of our main championship series for Season 6. I'm Gareth Frankfurt, and joining me is Mihai, who I won't disturb right now because he's just setting his game up, but we are at Donington, fantastic British circuit, which I am a big fan of. How do you feel about it, Mihai?
I love this track. The only thing I dislike is that bit after the hairpin that you go up the hill and it's slow and just but the rest is just it's fantastic. The old hairpin is one of my favorite corners on probably in the game. There are very few corners that I like more. And the entire track just flows. It's like it's kind of like a roller coaster ride, but you're in control of it if you know what I mean.
Absolutely, it's a really, really great setup. Honestly, I am also a big fan. The last two corners, the international section with the two hairpins, can be a little bit awkward. The first hairpin I've actually got used to, and even the second hairpin, you get used to it. But the braking zone into that, the fact that it's so blind, it's just always tricky. I'm a big fan of the national layout, but I'm starting to respect the fact that GT3s use this layout, not just because it's longer, but because the first chicane really does become your main overtaking opportunity here, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty much because really the national layout is fantastic drive, but it is basically Monaco. You cannot really overtake on it. You have a little bit in turn one, but the rest the only way to overtake, especially in a GT3 car, is extremely risky. So those hairpins are there pretty much to offer some form of racing. For GT4s, though, the national layout is just fine because they can basically slot in wherever, and you can do some insane overtakes, which I do think we will be seeing here, as we are setting up the grid. And since we have 2 minutes before we start, I'm going to be right back.
Yeah, so obviously talking about GT4s here, we do have GT4s, but not on the national layout because this is our support race series. Huge shout out to everyone who's come along to race in the support series over this period. We're hopefully going to get more people in the support races next time. It's slowly dipped like a lot of championships do, going to the end. You know, obviously being more casual and not having the impetus to make sure you stick around does mean that slightly less people will be in here each time. We'll jump into a quick look at our championship before we get into this race, because as we can see in tier 2, Jack Winter is leading the way. He's quite done up, really. Like, we're not going to see a huge amount more coming out from them. I believe in terms of challenging, I think it's actually impossible numerically. So Jack Winter has won this. Pedro Fernandez is looking like a shoe-in to get up. But we need to see from Fabio Geno, David Long, and Lewis Hawkins who is going to manage to be the third person to get promoted to Tier 1. And in Tier 1, we have Ramel Jensen, who is obviously already banned. He has successfully got banned for this season, which means that second, third, and fourth will be banned. So that's Sam Teague, Benjamin Horiot, David Cox, Alejandro Chirabal, John Dudley look like the ones to be fighting over that those 3 ban slots. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. There's an outside chance that someone like Paul Krampf or maybe even Miles Dixon, Jim Reed could sneak into the last spot, possibly, if there's a lot of bad races going about, but they're looking like the main contenders so far. If anyone wins 3 races or comes in the top 3 of the top split, then that is how they get banned.
So we're off on the short formation lap now.
Yep, so we can hop back into the game. I can get my camera out of the way and give my phone a rest.
I had just enough time to run to the kitchen and grab me a beer.
Beautiful. Obviously, short formation laps, casual race. We're going to be just seeing these guys chill around for 20 minutes, I believe.
Yep, it is a 20-minute race, no stops. Just drive your heart out as we are green, green, green. You have a relatively clean start, but let's see what's going to happen into turn one.
Yeah, it's
There's
interesting. Coleman Corkery and James Gibson really far ahead of the other guys, and they're getting a really easy run into the first corner. The rest of the pack a lot more closed up behind them.
that's one thing about Donington. If you get a very clean start, the first lap or so, you can definitely open up a big gap. As we see Gibson and Corkery doing just that, second ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah,
Something's happened to Fernandes though. He is very far behind.
there are a lot of corners here where it is difficult to overtake through, and so you end up following through, and you can lose a lot of time from people just taking very slightly different lines throughout here.
It's gonna be quite interesting to see how people overtake because in my experience with GT Force here, it's all about courage. You can basically overtake anywhere, but you gotta trust the other guy.
And you've got to commit to it fully as well. We've seen a few incidents in the last couple of races with people getting just sort of inside, but not really alongside. You need to really dive inside. The tyres going flying already. Nobody likes those tyres for some
I don't know
reason.
why they're even there, honestly.
I really like them as a marker for getting that apex just right and just going right by them, but everyone else likes to murder them, sadly.
Well, GT4s especially because you
True.
can go even further inside without cutting. So of course that's gonna happen as we round out the final corner of the first lap. Everything extremely clean, but it is kind of to be expected in this track. Pretty much, there aren't any of the there's you see at the back, Maitland Price getting a little bit of dirt, allowing Zambrano to get right up behind him. Let's see if he's gonna try something in turn one. He kind of thinks about it, but he doesn't look too stable on the brakes, so elects to jump out of that attempt as we're seeing more and more gaps opening up. Definitely a driver's track here where it's very easy to lose pace. Something happened. Oh, Gareth is still here. I heard
Yeah. I was setting up the other stream.
Let's see, where were we? Louis Fernandez, something happened to him at the start of the lap. There's of the race. I don't know exactly what, but he is very far behind. He has actually closed up to Jordi Zambrano by about 1.5 seconds, actually 2.5 seconds in the last lap. So definitely having some pace. We do see the bottom two outside of Louis Fernandez definitely kind of starting to fall behind. 1.7 seconds now. Gap between 5th to 6th. The only gaps that are less than a second are the top three, with Corkery, Gibson, and Noor still fairly close to each other. But as I said, this track is quite it's one of these tracks where you need to get into a flow. It's very easy to lose a lot of time without really noticing.
Yep, absolutely. Looks like not pressing drive for Louis Fernandez as far as I can see. Either that or he had a big spin.
Well, you are, but I can't hear you, so...
Oh, I cannot hear me for some reason. Can you hear me now, Mihai? Okay, can you hear me now, Mihai?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, Discord is just being a bit stupid, so...
sorry for talking over you there.
No. I was setting up the other streams, so we are all good.
Alright, so we're seeing Gibson and Corkery actually looking quite racy. We do see a few jabs sort of by Gibson there, looking down the inside, looking around the outside, just sort of reminding Coleman that he's there and he's going to capitalize on any mistakes he makes.
Absolutely. Still staying reasonably close together. Obviously, with small grid, we're relying on these guys to set some similar times to make it interesting. Hopefully, Louis Fernandez can come from the back after... It looks like he didn't press drive or something, because he's about that far back.
The top three are getting closer and closer, so it's good to see that we are going to actually have some fights. As further back, I do see Michael Wang sticking to the back of Richard Christie quite well, but he's not far enough to mount a challenge. So we're going to keep looking at this top three here for now.
Shout outs to James Gibson, Coleman Corkery, Alan Noah sticking in there as well, giving us something interesting to watch for this short warm-up race.
It's quite interesting. It's we don't have a lot of battles, but I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody here is having a blast. It's just how this track is
Yes.
really. It just most of this track, especially in GT3 cars, it's very high speed, very little braking. And that old hairpin, as we're seeing James Gibson there sort of missing his mark a little bit, it's so important, that exit, because you're exiting uphill and you're going to be losing time now again and again and again as Alan Noor is looking to capitalize on that mistake to try to go up to second place. Then Gibson makes another mistake, hitting the grass on the apex, almost actually spins the car around, I believe, but he manages to save it and keep his place. Alan Noor looking down the inside a little bit, but that is not actually a faster line, so see if he manages to get a better exit there in the slipstream, do something in the chicane. Always a dangerous place to try overtaking, though. Decides better of it.
Taking a lot at the chicane there. Both of our guys really going ham as you can do in these GT4s and with these rules. And it really is, for me, I totally agree with you, the whole, like, I love joining races on this track because even if I'm, like, not quite on the pace or I get wrecked early on or something, I just always can happily drive around here for an hour and just have fun.
Yeah. I do remember my first race at ACC. It was our race with at ACC on this track. I mean, it was when we are trying out the DLC with the GT3s, and I think I was the only one who decided to slam himself against the wall of the fake pit lane. So that's going to be a as James Gibson there makes another mistake, hitting the dirt on the exit of turn one. Alan Noor now is going to be on the inside through the ramp. The old hairpin manages to actually get the overtake done. Such was difference in pace, but then overcooks into the old hairpin and goes onto the grass. A mistake very easy to do, giving James Gibson the position back. That's actually going to put him in danger because he had such a bad exit now that he's going to be losing time all the way up this hill and falling back into Richard Christie now.
Yeah, absolutely. Big slide as well from him there, so he almost even gets side by side with Richard Crispity. This is giving Colin Corkery a nice little lead there as he moves ahead, but these guys are now backing into each other.
Yeah, he's out of his flow a little bit. He's making a couple of mistakes after one after the other, as we're seeing Michael Wang actually trying to do something in the chicane. Richard Christie giving him space, pretty much knowing there's no way Michael's going to make that move stick. But let's see if he can do something in the hairpin. Goes down the inside now, quite aggressively down the inside. That's a lot of space between them. Try to take that inside line, but he's going a bit too slow. It's kind of thing. He went so far down the inside, he had to almost stop to turn the car around, letting Richard Christie carrying more speed around the outside.
Yeah, and that especially that move of the chicane has really slowed these guys down because going too wide through there is very slow. You can see how far the Porsche has got out ahead of them because of that. As in the background, we see Maitland Price getting closed up on by Zambrano.
Yeah, Fernandez is actually closing in on that group now. He might actually be able to end up fighting them at the end of the race. He's now only 5 seconds behind. He started off 9 seconds behind, so that's 4 seconds recovered. Look at the two Astons of Wang and Christie going through the old hairpin now. It's always interesting seeing cars going through there. Everybody kind of has their own style of taking that hairpin. Well, hairpin, that corner. I do think it is one of the trickier corners in the game because you can carry a lot more speed than you think.
Absolutely.
But it's so easy. As we see Alan Noor making a big mistake before Koppes. I saw him on the grass there, which is going to put him down. I think maybe even as far as P5 because we're seeing Michael Wang there on the outside of the chicane now, having a better exit onto the straight. Now, let's see, he's going to keep the inside, the second portion of the chicane. That was a little bit naughty going onto the dirt, but he's going to push Noor onto the grass for some reason. I think he was thinking, maybe he was thinking Wang was going to go further to the outside, but either way, he manages to keep the inside into the hairpin, and finally Michael Wang goes up to P4. So yeah, Alan Noor goes down all the way to P5, definitely losing a little bit of rhythm.
Yeah, mistakes can beget mistakes in these sort of situations on these sort of tracks. And now that little battle of Maitland Price and Zambrano has been brought right up to the back of these other two, and we can really see here something which will come into play a lot more in the hour race, which is that if you get into too many little fights and don't make your moves cleanly and quickly, you can fall back a lot, as Maitland Price makes a little mistake there at the first corner. Very easy to do going wide there. He's now going to be threatened by Zambrano, and it's illustrating exactly what I'm saying. As soon as you make these little mistakes, you can make yourself, not just yourself, but anyone behind you fall back, and that's a lot of grass. He's going to have to really work to stabilize that car and
I
to try
think
and keep
Zambrano's
momentum.
got this, yeah.
Yeah, he's got around the outside though. It's going to be a tricky one. And if he's not confident on his braking zone there, he's just going to have to slot back in behind the Porsche and drifts around that corner.
Yep. That's what's fun around this track as well. You can really throw the car around. Though it's kind of the case for GT4s. I love GT4s, by the way.
Yeah. Great little cars. Really fun to throw around. Gonna spend the end of the weekend driving around in iRacing. Good fun.
Oh man, I remember driving. It was such a long time ago. You're seeing the top three have kind of spaced out now. There's 3 seconds between first and second, and 6 seconds between second and third. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any fights happening there. The fights have actually moved all the way at the back, mostly due to the fall of Alan Newer, as he's gone down to P5 already from P2 because he managed to make a mistake, a overtake on James Gibson, but he did end up overcooking it. Fernandez now, actually, due to all of that fighting at the back, he's now only 2 seconds behind Zambrano, so he's going to be, he's coming up from behind, and he's definitely fast. I don't really have any statistics on my screen, maybe Gareth could tell us, but he seems to be one of the faster drivers on the track right now. Maybe we'll see him go all the way up to, I don't know, maybe a P5 or something if he manages to keep up this pace.
Yeah, he's definitely had a decent pace. He's driving with around the 5th, 4th drivers. Zambrano and Price, definitely the slower guys on the track, which makes sense for the splits they are in. So hopefully we will see Fernandez pulling through a little bit. He's already past a Porsche there. It looks like Maitland Price making a mistake, falling behind Zambrano and Fernandez.
I'm going to be quite curious seeing the times here. It's one of these tracks is deceptively difficult to master. Something's happened to Maitland Price. He's now behind Fernandez. That is a lot of time lost. I'm actually going to check the replay. Hopefully I don't crash. See what happened to Mr. Price. That is the camera. That is not the correct name.
Maitland Price now behind
Maitland
Fernandez, who is pulling up on Zambrano.
Yeah, so I've noticed what happened here to Maitland Price. He did another, remember Alan Newer going under the grass at the old hairpin? That's exactly what Maitland Price did as well. He went very wide onto the hairpin. See, he's into the braking zone. He's a bit too far to the right and misses his braking point. Goes all the way up to the bridge and has to give way to everybody behind him.
Yeah, lost 2 positions through that and now finds himself right at the back. And Luis Fernandez has now also taken Zambrano with a nice move into turn 1, so he can start trying to move forward and catch Alan Noah and Michael Wang, who are battling just up ahead.
They've swapped positions at one point, so definitely missed that overtake. See, Michael Wang does seem like he has the pace. The question is, will he have the space? Got 2 battles at the back right now, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 4th and 5th. Actually quite close together as well. If Noah or Wang make a mistake, that whole thing is going to turn into a 5-way battle.
Yeah, as you said multiple times here, really seeing a lot of the drivers just losing those little bits of time.
Yeah, Maitland Price down the inside of Zambrano, overcooks into the hairpin really, really hard. There ends up all the way back at the back again, now with an even bigger deficit. I do think he might be a little bit frustrated over losing all those places, so really easy to overcook it into that hairpin as he does it again into the final corner on the grass. I think he's got some dirty tires. He's been over the marbles a bit too many times.
Yeah, that happens a lot in these last few hairpins. You really need to get used to the fact that if you mess one of them up, you're likely going to have to be slow through the next and maybe even turn one. Otherwise, you will be messing them all up.
Yeah, it's kind of consequence of dirtying your tires and on a track that's quite high speed. Those tires get very hot. Nur, Michael Wang still very close to each other. Not many moves happening. And if you can believe it, we're actually only 4.5 minutes left in this race. So this has gone by very quickly.
Absolutely. Common Corkery still leads from James Gibson, Richard Christie in third. Those guys have got nice amounts of space between themselves. Alan Noah and Michael Wang here fighting for fourth position, and behind them, Louis Fernandez is still being chased down by Jordi Zambrano with Richard Maitland Price in last.
Yeah, as I click on him, he's kind of gone onto the grass again. So I think it might be a bit of a case of overdriving, trying to make up that deficit. Oh, Alan Noor makes a little bit of a mistake in the second to last hairpin. I was just seeing him taking it quite wide. That's going to let Wang get really close to really close to him. Likes to take a wider, faster line, sort of a switchback line through the last corner. Probably going to bank on that not hairpin, on that slipstream, getting into the back of the Porsche. But the Porsche just too fast on the acceleration, and the slipstream doesn't help Michael at all. Though Alan's little overcooking of the braking zone definitely helped him now, as he's all over the back of him through Hollywood. Gonna take a look around the old hairpin. Maybe elects to not really do anything. Alan Noor too far to the right. He's gonna need to compromise his exit out of the old hairpin. He's gonna let Michael get closer and closer using that slipstream up the hill. I'm gonna keep my eye on these guys. This is gonna get hot in this as we get into the next complex of corners, I believe.
Fernandez just starting to pull away from Zambrano. He's leaving these guys as the first on the track as they're huge drift again from a Porsche. So
yeah, Michael Wang there getting a little bit better exit. It's I've always found with the GT4s it's better to be kind of tight through coppice, just not really letting the back go out, just keeping the car nice and disciplined through there. But Wang throws it all away, eating some grass for that Aston Martin, making sure that car is well fed. You got 2 minutes left. That's about 2 more laps left as Coleman and Gibson are crossing the start-finish line. Still 3 seconds between them. We got to hand it to Coleman. He's been driving a very clinical, very clean race. It's kind of the reason why he's ahead, actually.
We've seen mistakes pulling almost everyone else in the grid slightly further back, apart from Coleman Corkery and probably Luis Fernandez, who obviously started from the back.
Yeah, Fernandez, very good recovery drive there. Here, the question is, will he be able to make it up to Wang? I don't think he'll have the time in 2 laps unless Michael Wang makes a really big mistake. They do seem to have fairly similar pace. As I said that, Michael Wang makes a fairly big mistake and overcooks the old hairpin going onto the grass.
Yeah, we've seen plenty of mistakes be made in this race, so I wouldn't be surprised to see more coming out.
Yeah, 1 minute left as Coleman Corkery now, the leading driver, going through the chicane. Gibson making up a little bit of time on him, but I don't think it's going to be enough to spark anything at the end of the race. So because of maybe causing more action, I'm just going to say Coleman has already won the race. Maybe this way he's going to spin out or something.
Final lap for our leader, Coleman Corkery. As those two really in a race of their own up the front.
Yeah, Jim's getting a little bit lucky. He could have been stuck behind Alan Noor a little bit more if he didn't make that mistake. Corkery not overcoming the old hairpin, easiest mistake to make, and he didn't make it. So looking good for that win. Just look at it, that's a pretty hot track, so not expecting extremely fast times.
Now we're here catching up a lot on Chris. He looks like he's made a little bit of a mistake falling back, but especially with Coleman Corkery already through the chicane, unlikely for anything to happen.
I think so. As Alan Newer also made a small mistake. They're going wide in Coppice. Though again, quite easy to do. You think you can accelerate there, and then the car just decides to understeer on you. Such a big difference though between the first two. Yeah, there's 12 seconds now. There's only a 20-minute race. It's Coleman Corkery and James Gibson are rounding the final corner. Coleman being a little bit careful. Not really taking too fast, no need to do that as he goes forward to win the race with James Gibson in P2. Richard Christie, barring any exceptional circumstances, is going to finish in P3. Alan Noor behind him and Michael Wang behind him. So that's Richard in third, Alan in fourth, Michael in fifth. Louis Fernandez finishing sixth place from a distant last, so very good drive by him. Jordi Zambrano is going to be P7, and Maitland Price down in the last position after a bunch of mistakes. That's going to be the order of this race.
Awesome. So thank you everyone who's been here to watch our support race. Obviously the main gold split race is coming up next, and we'll be back very shortly for their qualifying. They're both off and follow the leader a little bit. What's going to happen? What's going to happen here then? The back marker has held up. Not and boom. And where wins? Where wins it on the line, ladies and gentlemen? 4/1000th of a second.
No.
That drifter. He kept it. There's carnage at the exit of the pit lane. There's 6 cars. He's being blocked by a tree. There's 6 cars on the exit of the straight. Cantia goes for the dive, does not make it. Oh, and that's not a pass. That's not a pass. Hello and welcome back to the start of our race. We're still in practice, just at the end of practice, as you can see in Mihai's camera. I didn't realise this would happen, but it makes sense. So we're having a look at the standings here once again before we go into the race. Now we have a few more people here after our support race. Both the splits actually look pretty much held up at the top. Tier 2, Jack Winters sort of ran away with it. He's clearly the one getting promoted. Fernandez looks pretty much a lock-in, and then it's between Fabio Geno, David Long, and Lewis Hawkins to see who can take the final position there. In Tier 1, Rumble Jensen already banned with 5 wins in this series. Sam Teague looking like a shoe-in for the first banned place for top 3 then, after Rumble's already out. And Benjamin Horiot, David Cox, Alejandro Chiribao, John Dudley look like the ones who'll be fighting for those top 3 spots.
Yeah, John Dudley had some really good races, and David Cox had some kind of races last time on that wet race, which definitely is gonna make it much harder, much harder. It's gonna make it much more exciting to look at those at those bottom at that third spot in the top 3 for Tier 1. And Tier 2, we do see Jack Winter, as you said, has completely locked out the win, even though he won't be participating. So really, we're looking at P2 and P3, and we've got, as you said, Pedro Fernandez, Fabio Geno, David Long are definitely fighting for that top 3. Lewis Hawkins is in it as well. Andy Thorpe and Radelli, I believe, if they have very good races, do also have a chance at that third spot. And there's also another person with 60 points. So right behind Radelli, Kevin Cambly, Cambly, I don't know, he's German, but he doesn't have a German name. Either way, he's at the top of practice right now, so he might be having a very good race. Hopefully. No, it's Donington. You could be on the grass in like lap 20. You never know.
Absolutely, there's always a chance. We saw someone miss out on a position in the championship with a last lap spin in the silver race, so we could definitely see that happening again, as we see here the timetables for the end of practice as it winds down and gets ready for the qualifying session. To me, I said Chambly at the top, and actually an interesting thing, obviously it's practice so it doesn't really matter, but interesting to see if it stays like this. We had in our silver race a lot of AM drivers up the top in qualifying. It seems like Donington, as you said, a surprisingly hard track to master, and one that seems to put people's times a lot closer than on some other tracks.
One, it's a short track, and two, it's a fast and flowy track. Really, the times here are at the margins. You're going to be getting times by just being a little bit braver than the other person.
Green light, go, go, go.
As we go into qualifying, and I am struggling to find that steward sheet. I'll eventually find it. It's fine.
In the protest help channel.
All right, thank you. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I just can't read. It's just normal for me. Don't worry.
I forgot to restart my broadcast tool between races, so just give me a sec.
I'm just looking through quality. There we go. I've got the steward sheet up, so now at least I can keep you updated on any naughty business. We do have people coming out of the pit lane, and the first one is again not Dan Terry. It is in fact Michele Esposito with Joseph Cocking behind him. So Dan Terry's definitely has definitely been slacking on that first out of the pit lane game. And again, David Long has a livery that reminds me of Dan Terry, so I'm going to be calling him Dan Terry number 2. Or even is Dan Terry? He's not out.
ACCSS colours. Dan Terry actually has a grid penalty for this race.
Ah,
so
okay.
Allowed to take part in qualifying.
Okay, naughty Dan.
So we're going to be sitting on board with Michele Esposito. And let's see how he does the first banker lap in our qualifying. Our qualifying, for those who don't know, split into two: 15 minutes for the AMs and then for the pros. So this is the AM qualifying, very much across the pit lane as the line is through the first corner. You want to get turned in, square that corner off as much as possible to take not quite that much of the curb, but as much as you can. Full speed then down towards the old hairpin where you've got to brake surprisingly early so you can turn in surprisingly fast and get a really nice run up this hill. Hugely important part for the speed of the lap as you brake. Stay on the left hand side, get turned in. A little miss the apex there. There's an apex somewhere over there, but up the hill. Another awkward braking zone. This is obviously uphill, so you can brake a lot later than you're used to. And then this is a very hard corner. I find it's deceptively hard because you've got to get on the acceleration so early to go through that corner. Hard in some cars to keep the back end stable. Then a really fast chicane, and those two corners are where people are going to make overtakes. If you're good in those two corners, you can really move through the field on this track, because that is where you can get the nice runs to have the dive into the first of these two chicanes, or hairpins, that we just saw. The second one being this one, which is a really awkward blind apex over the hill, and you've got to take a very late apex, making it even more blind than it first seems. And that there is a lap of Donington, with Michele Esposito setting a 1:29.1.
We're definitely going to be seeing that time being beaten, as even in practice they were being 1 second faster. As immediately Mr. Cocking, it goes 1 second faster, 1:28.0. Let's just take a moment to just look at how bloody fast Gold Split has gone.
Yep, we saw how messy that lap was from Esposito, just getting his banker in there, so not surprising to see it immediately knocked down. And we saw some low 27s in Silver Split, so we're expecting...
Maybe we were going to be seeing 26s, yeah.
Yep.
So the thing about Coppice, and the thing that I've found out a lot, is if you can get the inside on somebody and the entry, because the trick to it, right, is to be very tight at the start, so that when you're accelerating, you're constantly sort of letting go of the wheel and letting the car straighten itself out. If you can get that inside, and that's what we're going to be looking for, and stay on the inside, you have an advantage all the way out to the chicane. So that's what you're going to want to look at when you're overtaking there. So if you're going to see people side by side there, we're definitely going to need to look at what's going to happen. And at the moment, Chamberlain's actually in P2 with only 1/10 off of Joseph Cocking.
So a nice little team name there from Dan Terry, thanking all the Championship Series 6 drivers, but he is not going to be in the qualifying session right now because he has a grid penalty. There are a few more that you can see on this list that have a grid penalty. Fabian Goldenitz also has a grid penalty. I wanted to show you the cars, but the camera is really bugged on this bit. Bihan, Andy Bihan also has a grid penalty. Jonas Nergard, who I don't see where he is on this list, so he might not have turned up to this race. He has a penalty as well, or he might just be skipping qualifying. I guess it doesn't matter for him. Nicholas Norberg as well, in his black and red car, is another one who's going to be missing quali.
Norberg usually a clean driver, but you know, a few mistakes can get you into this penalty position.
It's a lot of firsts this season. We were talking about this in some of the chats. Both myself, Nicholas Norberg, and Dan Terry have ran in the majority of seasons, and this is the first time that any of us have got a penalty, and we all got a penalty for the same race.
Because when you're pushing, you got to make mistakes. As we're seeing times tumbling down now, we have Cambly, the first person into the 27, so the 27.9, putting him up on provisional pole. Joseph Cocking in P2 and David Long in P3, all within 2/10. Actually, Daniel Durrett as well within 2/10. So top four separated by 2/10.
Drivers getting a bit of an improvement on their time, but it can take a little bit, a couple of laps around this track to really get into your rhythm. So as we're starting to see times tumble a little bit,
We got a better time for David Long now, 27.7. So definitely putting in the work. I definitely have to practice more. Holy crap!
Fabio Geno here. Bottoms so far by quite a bit, but has a large improvement, putting him right into the pack. Only Piogne and Martinez really need to be finding time to be on the pace so far, and Piogne is finding that time already. Oh, big slide there
A
from the
bit of a slide
Ferrari.
there, yeah.
One of those cars I was talking about that can have back end issues in some of the corners on this track. And that loses him all of the time he gained. He's going to gain a slight bit of time, but he was much further up before. But he's clearly got that pace in him, so we'll see that time coming.
We don't really have a lot of McLarens here because I do know this is quite a McLaren track. But we're seeing Lexus and Aston. Well, Aston is kind of the same in a way. It's just a more stable version of the McLaren in a way. It's better over curbs than it is, and it's also very, very stable at high speed. So it's honestly quite what would you say, quite expected that we're seeing currently an Aston Martin fighting for a top spot here.
I think
Wonder
this is
what car is
definitely
it?
one of those tracks where it seems like there isn't as much of an obvious best car. We're seeing for all our splits tons of different makes being up there and competitive, which is really nice to see. But the words Mihai said there do really explain it. I think the one trait that helps a car around here is stability.
You want that rear end. You want to be able to trust that car as you go into these fast corners.
That might explain why we have a Ferrari and right down the bottom here. It could be a little bit tricky to keep it in order through some of these corners where you are right on your grip of downforce.
Yeah, the Ferrari does kind of like to stick its butt out a little bit. Kind of want to use that oversteer to turn it, but it can be a disadvantage on a track like this. It can be tough to get your laps down.
Improvements
This,
coming in mainly for the guys at the back of the grid right now. Piogne just slowly creeping his time up there. He knows he can do it, but just needs to put in the work now to actually string a whole lap together. And Martinez just slightly over his time. Esposito, the other driver right now, who's gaining time. And Pedro Fernandez is about to just gain a few tenths in the last sector.
This track is, yeah, he's up to P4. This track is very short, so we're going to be seeing a lot of people are going to get a lot of tries to improve. And as we were saying about cars that are tough to control, we do actually have an Audi pretty far up into the lead. So into lead, we've got a an Audi in P5. So it does show that even if the car is quite unstable, you can actually do pretty well here as well. One thing we are not seeing at the moment is a Porsche, but I don't think there's a Porsche out on the track. So we're gonna see what happens when Roomle comes out
I think the thing
in the
about the
pro
Audi is
split.
that it's not unstable most of the time. The thing that makes the Audi so difficult to drive is not its instability, but the fact that the instability it does have comes so randomly. Like it's like the Ferrari is always a bit unstable, the Nissan is always a bit unstable, but the Audi is really nice and stable, and then it will just snap on you and kill you. And that's I think what makes that such a tricky car and why it's doing well here in the hands of Joseph Cocking, who's obviously also has a large hand to play in that.
One of those cars who just, oh, you did not follow the instructions to drive the car. You will be killed now.
Good man, Martinez. Once again, both on big laps, but Martinez going to take to the grass there and lose a lot of his time.
Yeah, I was looking at David Long. He does kind of do something similar in turn one. They're definitely pushing to the limits of what they can do here in the last 3 minutes. It's the last 3 minutes, but some people are going to actually get 3 more laps. So it just shows how short this track is. Dixon Chen actually doing very well in that McLaren, so that's nice to see. P3 now, 2 tenths off of the lead. So also into the 27s.
Piogne getting a bit of time back through the hairpins, but lost all of his time through that corner that I was saying the Ferrari might struggle at, where his back end gets a little bit loosey and throws him off. Daniel Durrett in the Lamborghini also doing pretty well. Seen Daniel Durrett have great pace over one lap, but not be able to hold it in the race. So this should be a nice challenge for him, having an hour to go.
So looking at the standings, that's a pretty good qualifying for Pedro Fernandez, though, because there's not really anybody ahead of him who is. Well, no, there's actually David Long who is actually further ahead. So that's going to be a fight to watch. They're right next to each other in the championship. Pedro has 82 points and David Long has 77. And if the race ends like this, I have a feeling David actually takes Pedro's place. I'm not sure because I don't remember how much points you get.
It is 20 points for a win, so with double
40
points,
here.
it's 40 here. 17 for second, 15 for third.
Yeah, so then, yeah, because for fourth, there's even less. So, yeah, I do think he does have a good chance if it ends like this, because the difference is only 5 points. So, yeah, if the race would end with Long in P2 and Pedro in P4, that would be P3 for Long in the in Tier 2. So, yeah, good qualifying for David here. See if he can actually make that small improvement required and get into first place. Half a tenth is definitely something he can do. He gets his head down. Lewis Hawkins not having the best time in qualifying. He definitely needs to improve to keep his position at the moment. See David Long not improving. He gets one more chance.
Joseph Cocking here, about to come over the line for a big improvement. This is going to put him pole with a 127.6.
Oh yeah, only barely on pole actually. Just 18 thousandths of a second faster than the previous pole time. The top 5 are within 4 tenths, and actually top 3 are within 1 tenth. So this is definitely going to come down to this last lap if anybody can improve. As Cambly goes, there is Cambly. This camera's a bit okay. Cambly's coming through the final corner now, so he's actually going to get another lap, so another chance. I don't know if he's got any improvements. I don't think David Long is going to get another chance. He's only coming out of Coppice now, I believe. So he's definitely not getting another chance. This is a make or break lap for him. Joseph Cocking is satisfied with the time he managed to put on the board. He elects to go back to the pits. Cambly now going through Hollywood.
So Daniel Durrett now coming around the last corner, but he's going to run out of time in order to set another lap. So Daniel Durrett is going to be the first of our drivers to be finished from this section, and our pro drivers are going to start coming out.
David Long's now coming out to the out of the final corner, so I'm going to look to see if he gets any improvement. He bails on the laps, so and judging from that final corner as well, he definitely didn't manage to improve. So he's going to end up P3, best he could do. Cambly is now coming into the chicane. Let's see if he can get a good enough improvement to go back onto provisional pole. It is a provisional pole for tier 2, so we are looking at these times probably being beaten by our pro drivers.
Yeah, looking through the timing screen that I have, very few people on an improvement. In fact, now with that loss of time there from Chambly, only Fabien Piognet right at the back is looking at an improvement. It's a big improvement, but only one.
Yeah, Cambly had a bit of traffic there and decides to bail on the lap. He, I don't even know who that traffic was. I think it was it Pedro? No, it wasn't Pedro. God, this camera, it was Esposito actually. It was the traffic. Yeah, the pit lane camera.
Piognet cut.
Ah.
Cut and ruined his lap. That was going to be a big improvement of about half a second.
Man, I would have put him. Actually, I would have only put him in 12th position there so far.
Yeah.
Martinez and Piogna just so far they couldn't really get a lap together. Not their day today. We're seeing the pro drivers coming out
Yep,
now.
here we are on board with Rommel Jensen. Hopefully he will show us what a lap is meant to look like. He's won 5 times out of the 6 races we've had this season, maybe 8. 8 races we've had this season, so hugely talented. Ooh, little snap there on the end of the Porsche. You can see that. We're talking about that high-speed grip that you need to have through so many of these corners. Staying nice and tight to the left lets you get the best angle. Turning into the right, take a ton of the curb. Lots of real nice flat exit curves you can take on this track. This one is a dangerous one. You saw him take too much of that and get a bit wobbly, and that's one which, in qualifying, you are absolutely going to abuse the ever-loving out of that curve because the game lets you do it, so why wouldn't you? But in the race, you've got to be a little careful on that because that curve is the tyre killer on this track. If you take that curve like that for a whole race, you will be puncturing your tyres.
Yeah, I've had this experience actually on Alton. That was quite interesting. There are a few curves that, yeah, those curves they're really sharp.
There's only that one on this track as we see Rummel coming through the last chicane, keeping it nice and tight. Not the tidiest time from Rummel, only puts him up into P8 with a 1:28.1. You can see Dixon already going a little bit higher than that.
Yeah, will Dixon be able to be competitive like he was in the last race now? We'll see. He's going to be the fastest pro, but these are definitely all bankers. They're not even close to Joseph Cocking's time. But we are seeing the pros. But whoa, that was an interesting line there by Dixon. Definitely had some Eurobeat inspiration there. Oh, Jensen. Oh dear, I clicked on Jensen and he is not facing the correct way.
Yep. Through those 2 corners at the top of the track, which can be so difficult. And he just loses the back end, as we've been saying, can happen, and throws himself around. We see Sam Teague coming through the same corner now.
Yeah, that turn at the top of the hill, it's pretty much, you hit the inside curb, spin. You hit the grass, spin. Very unforgiving. It's best to just be careful through that one.
A lot of people up in their time now, as I said, all of them out here putting in bank laps. Multiple people a whole second up on their time, so we're going to quickly see some of these pros jumping towards the top of the tables.
Dixon jumping onto P4, but only 1/10 of a pole. Janssen now coming out onto his warm-up lap. He just came out in front of Dixon. One person who definitely needs to get moving is Benjamin Horriot. He's currently in P3 and not by too much. So he's gonna need to definitely gonna need a good result here in qualifying. Again, qualifying here very important for GT3 cars, as overtaking is definitely not the greatest at this track.
Yep. So we have a question in chat from Glee Sonalex. Yes, this is the last race of Series 6. So this is a 1 hour double length race finale. It's going to have double points, and after this, tomorrow, we are going to have Dan Terry doing his seasonally announcement stream, and he's going to be talking about the next series. There will be 3 weeks off between that series for anyone who wants to join, to hit exclamation mark sign up in the chat, to do an evaluation race, and to get signed up for the next series.
No, since it's in 3 weeks, I will actually be able to join that one.
Nice.
Hey. So they're going to be seeing me on track, probably in bronze, given my horrible skill level now. But
we're also at the end of this race, because we like to stick around after the stream on the last day to see the final standings for the top split and the champion of the series. we have a Wreckfest server. So if you don't have Wreckfest installed, get it in there, and hopefully we can have a bit of a run around in Wreckfest for a little bit before SGP upstates the scores.
Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be around for that, so I'm going to wish you guys a good time after this race. As we have Paul Raytrix, actually, the top pro at the moment, only in P3. As I was saying, that Jim Reed decides he's had enough of being in behind the AM drivers and puts in a 127.5, 1/10 ahead of Joseph Cocking.
There we go. Ferrari up on pole. Shows how fast it can be when it's not losing its rear end.
But for how long? That is the question.
Yeah, we've got a lot of our fast drivers lower down in the field. Some of our people who have been very consistent throughout the series. Rumble Jensen, Sam Teague, Benjamin Horiot, David Cox, Alejandro Chirabao, all people who we will expect to see up the top by the end of this session.
Yeah, Rumla is going to come to the end of one of his laps now. Let's see where that puts him. That was just an outlap, though, because there's no improvement. Or just not a very good lap, as we're not really seeing the improvements we'd expect from our pro drivers. I do think there might have been some people are definitely making some setup adjustments as well. I think because Dixon, for example, who definitely needs to improve his time. I think to stay at the top, he's in the pits.
Yep,
Great tricks at the moment. Yeah.
Like I was saying after practice, it does seem to be a trend on this track that the pros are less consistently faster than they are on other tracks. Everyone's sort of brought together by the difficulties of this, and it's so hard to string together a whole lap of every corner just on point. Each corner leads into the others so much, and so we are seeing some people surprisingly far down, like Sam Teague, Graham Johnson.
Yeah, Jim Reed utterly crushing it now. 27.3. That's 3 times faster than Cocking.
And that is about as fast as the pole from our silver split. So we're starting to get into the point where the gold split guys are putting on a show worthy of their name.
So, I don't remember. Ollie Moss isn't here, right? Isn't in this?
Ollie Moss is not here.
Okay.
Ollie Moss did get promoted to the gold split, but he is not in the championship rank.
So Rune Jansen actually does improve a little bit, but only up to P6, still 4/10 back from Jim Reed, but almost as fast as the top AM drivers. But yeah, as you were saying, the pros are struggling a lot more than you'd expect.
A lot of people making improvements now from the back of the field, but just bumping them up still to around the top 10 to 20. So still not absolutely outdoing the rest of the field are our pros. Jim Reed, the only pro to be ahead of every single AM driver.
Yeah, and ahead by a long shot as well. We've seen this before, so you never know.
Yeah, we saw on one of our last races, Rummel Jensen took a long time to come in with the lap, which put him on pole. So it could definitely happen again, as we're watching David Cox coming around to finish. Should jump him up to, again, about that sort of 10 to 20th range position, right in with most of the other pros.
Seeing Rumlen now coming to the end of another one of his laps, going a little bit wide in the final corner though.
Yeah, Rumler's been slowly climbing his way up, and he actually lost all of his improvement in there. He was going to hop up right to second position there until the last corner where he lost all of that time gain.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna need to fight my cat for a bit. He's trying to sleep on the function keys. Ah.
So while Mihai's cat tries to turn his computer off, we're watching McGregor now. Jensen clearly showing that he can get up to fight for that pole position, so wouldn't be surprised if we could see that happening. I can't see Sam Teague there in ninth. There we go. He's obviously.
Oh yeah. Sam Teague's coming out of the pits now. I think he was doing some setup changes there. He's definitely ninth is definitely not a place you'd expect somebody in second place in the championship to be. See, still very good for Jim Reed. Jim Reed is actually not that far up in the standings. Yeah, he's all the way down in P17 overall. So he's about let's see.
He's 8th in his split, tied
Yeah,
with
he's
Miles
8th in
Dixon.
his split. Yeah. So yeah, Miles Dixon, a very fast driver, definitely, but didn't seem to be very consistent. Every time I've been commentating, he was up at the top. So maybe it's just because of me, you know.
A very consistent little thing I'm noticing here as well is a lot of people gaining a lot of time through the first part of the racetrack and then losing it all in the last couple of corners from the chicane to the final corner. That last sector really, really throwing people off. The entries for next season will open tomorrow. I believe DT normally puts the entry form up at the end of his announcement stream.
Yeah, please. Oh, yeah, I just saw somebody in the grass. I don't think that was Jensen, was it? No, no, it wasn't. Right.
That's reminded me actually. I'm gonna have to tomorrow. I'm gonna have to go through and make all the new evaluation races for between the.
There we go. We got another person who's ahead of all the AMs now. We got Miles Dixon coming into P2, but still a whole 3/10 off of Jim Reed. And 3/10 on this track is a lot. So, let's see, will somebody be able to unseat the Jim? That is a good question. Let's see if
Getting on board
see
with
if
Jim Reed
anybody's
now.
up to the challenge.
The Russian liveried SMP Ferrari. Ooh, Ferrari does not like that curb, but he manages to keep his foot in there and keep most of the time. He is actually on a slight improvement here.
And we got another improver as well. We've got Nicholas Burns with now P2 in the grass.
Once again, it looks like the final sector might be the loss of all of this time gained, unless he can get a really nice run out of the last corner. Being a little bit careful there, doesn't manage to, but doesn't lose all of his time. So just a slight improvement there for Jim Reed at the top of our leaders. Rommel Jensen also on a run.
And the thing is, I think Jensen's going to get another chance. He's already at the chicane and we got 50 seconds left. Let's see, will he be in dominating form here, or will the Porsche just prove too unstable for this track?
Closing up to the Ferrari Cherbo there. Cherbo, not sure if he was diving out of the way there or just had a big kick on the back of the Ferrari. Either one of them could be likely, but either way, he has got out of Rummel's way. And Rummel coming in with a big improvement, but not enough, it looks like, to get him on pole. Second place, but much closer to Jim Reed than anyone else has managed. And he does get this last lap if he can manage to make it.
As you were saying, well, yeah, Miles Dixon again, quite still managing to be quite far ahead. Not quite the top two as we've seen him before, but still gonna be right up there with Rumle as the qualifying timer has ticked down. So what you're seeing now on the map is everybody on their final laps. John Dudley not having a very good not having a very good qualifying is he was one of the contenders for third place, but he's only managed to qualify 16th. Still, he's 16th, but he's less than a second off of pole, so qualifying is still quite close. We're seeing Rumlet now going through the chicane and completely cutting it and spinning, so I do believe that might have lost him a few tenths.
Carlos Bandera crossing the checkered flag is the first one, as Dixon coming in with a huge improvement. He's going to be on pole. Dixon has done it right at the end.
27-0. Wow.
Right,
he has
at the
unseated the Jim.
That is incredible. Jim holding that position for most of the pro split qualifying. But Dixon in the big Bentley is going to come through.
You're going to hate me, but big Dick's energy.
Big Dick's energy. That is awful. And McGregor also seems to have spun out of the last corner. So that is going to be the end of qualifying. Here is a quick look at the timetables as we prepare to have a little break before we get you the grid walk for this final 1 hour race of the Assetto Corsa Competizione Sim Series Season 6. Welcome back. We are here with the pole sitter on our grid. That is Miles Dixon in his big black Bentley, putting it on pole in the last moments of qualifying, beating out Jim Reed's Ferrari. The SMP Racing Ferrari is on the second spot on the grid. That is just ahead of Rummel Jensen's blue Porsche. He has been dominating this series so far and is looking already to have is already guaranteed to win this series and to be banned from our rookie league. Carlos Bandera in 4th place. Behind him, Nathan Burnswood in yet another Aston Martin. He's had pace at times but hasn't managed to keep up consistently enough to really challenge overall. Joseph Cocking taking an Audi to the next row ahead of McGregor in a BMW and Chanabley and Greytrix both in Lexi. Rounding out the top 10 is David Long ahead of Sam Teague, who is starting back in 11th despite being second in the championship and looking for that second place today. Behind them is Horiot, Dixon and Chirabo in the next Ferrari. Fernandez, Dudley, and then an empty spot on the grid. Daniel Durrett in the one and only, I believe, Lamborghini ahead of Andy Thorpe in the Mercedes. We then have Cox, Marstrom, Strom, Geno, Fisher, Esposito, Hawkins, Trampf, Martinez, Piogne, and then we have our naughty boys at the back, Daniel Terry, Florian Goldnitz, Rodelli, and Bihan, as well as a couple of guys who will be starting in the pits. Is Nicholas Norberg and someone else I can't remember. We'll find out. Thank you for watching this race. As they head out on the formation lap, we're going to hit some highlights so we don't have to watch them drive around slowly. And I will see you back here in about a minute. welcome back to the formation lap for our race at Donington. An incredibly short formation lap here as we come around the last corner 2x2. Miles Dixon leading Jim Reed, although Jim Reed looks to have a better position off the start line. Miles Dixon a little bit far back. Rummel Jensen very far forward. Going to try to dump the Bentley into the first corner. Has had a huge start in that Porsche as both the Astons do what Astons do and bog down behind them. BMW there getting a little bit close to some of the Lexi, but they are going to be keeping it in here for now. It's pretty safe. Rummel Jensen has taken Jim Reed, who didn't manage to keep up that great start that he had in the first corner. He lost it all. McGregor there, as Sam Teague's binned it. Sam Teague has absolutely binned it, lost it himself, clipped into McGregor and spun himself on McGregor as David Long there, side by side of Benjamin Horriot. They're going to have to be careful into this corner. We are all starting to settle around into our first lap.
Yeah, so as I was looking at the back, trying to see if there was going to be any carnage, I just saw John Dudley just decide to completely drive around like two cars. He's like like out of the old hairpin. He just overtook two cars. He did not care. He is on a charge to the top right now.
Looks like Jim Reed has also binned it somewhere. We can see him spun around there after that corner that I mentioned could be incredibly difficult for some of our drivers here, in those Ferraris, especially with that loose back end.
So you're saying Miles was on pole, but it does look like Janssen is now first. I think you did catch that overtake. I might have not been paying attention to you, but here we go.
Had a few more people spin at the back as well. 184 and 80 and now 161 have all spun around. Oh, looks like actually a little bit of chaos.
That's Rodelli. Yeah, Rodelli, and yeah, Hawkins is also. Hawkins is very far at the back. Something had to happen to Hawkins because he did not qualify that far back. So something's definitely going on there. I'm gonna keep the fort as you look through the replay.
Oh my God, Lewis Hawkins just absolutely turned around, and then there's the Ferrari going crazy into the last corner. Huge miss on the brakes there, and then Porsche just turns around the Aston. That was absolute carnage there at the end of the first lap. That was mega.
Seeing Rumble now actually quite comfortably leading. It's 0.8 seconds ahead as I see a Robert McGregor on the grass there with the corner of my eye. So that's something happened there in the chicane. He's lost a hell of a lot of places now, trying to get back onto the track. But as we know, the stewards there at Donington always apply olive oil to the grass before races, so he doesn't end up spinning about 3 more times before he managed to get back onto the track. So McGregor, they're all the way down from P4 to, I don't know, somewhere around probably P15.
Yeah, we just saw as well Joseph Cocking get a big slide on out of the last corner, and that has let Paul Greatrix up into 5th position.
Actually, McGregor is down to P. Oh my God. Oh dear, where is he? P26, dear Lord.
Yeah, so we can already see Jim Reed from 2nd down into 32nd. Robert McGregor from 7th down into 26th. Sam Teague from 11th into 24th. Carlos Bandera from 4th into 23rd. All of these guys having a torrid first lap and falling right down the order.
Now, from my experience in racing the guy, John Dudley is doing a John Dudley. He was in P16 at the start. He's now P10 just because he just doesn't care. He drives around people. He's just there. He's clean. He doesn't get into accidents. Yep. So now he's all the way up to P10.
Clean starts mean that you don't have to be as careful as some other people are. As you see Sam Teague here trying to work his way back up the field. Is closed up to Paul Cramph and Jose Martinez. Jose Martinez qualified right at the back of the field, so you can see how much chaos there was on that first lap by the fact that he's up in 23rd now.
Yeah, the bottom of the top 10 looking really racy here with Joseph Cockings looking for a way around Paul Greatrix, and he looking like the faster driver as Benjamin Horry up there being held up by Cocking and Cambly. trying to do something as he ends up falling back into David Long. David Long looking down the inside a little bit of turn one. It likes to not try to outbrake him, but definitely giving him the signal that he will want to do so. As John Dudley is looking for a way around around David Long. John is really wants that third place. But at the moment, Alejandro Tirabao.
We've just seen
Yeah.
Sam Teague taking 2 places there in the last part of the track, so he is on a tear, wants to get back up the field after that early mistake. And he has a big, nice gap of free air now until he gets up to Dan Terry, who is on the back of this little fight here. Fabio Genoano, Storm, and Cameron Marston going at it side by side into some tricky corners to go side by side into. They're keeping up. This is keeping Dan very much intact. And they're still side by side for another corner. As it's quite tight there to go. They're still side by side going down the straight into the chicane now. As we said before, the chicane incredibly hard to go side by side and keep up the speed. Dan Terry's actually managed to get around the Lexus. Fabio Geno had to slow for this. And Marston is just going to slot ahead of Storm into the chicane, but that's given Dan Terry a great run now around the outside of the McLaren. He has to be careful there not to get turned in on as the McLaren takes the line.
Yeah, Poigne manages to get around Marston actually now. He's in P17. Looking further up, we've got Benjamin Horia still trying to get ahead of these two AM drivers ahead of him, ahead of Cocking and Camely, but Cocking is slowly losing contact with Paul Greydrix. Now it's 7/10 between them, and Paul is actually there's 1 second to Greydrix now between Cocking and Greydrix, and Alejandro Chiribao actually having a very good race now in P4 in his class, looking for that third place in the championship and looking like he might be getting it. As we're again
one there in the first corner, which has let Marston get away, and Dan Terry is now starting to get a train behind him. Fabio Geno now not getting slowed down by the cars ahead, seems to have the pace on Dan Terry, and Sam Teague has turned up as well. I said he had that bit of free air before he gets to them, but he has got to them.
Because we're getting some, there are going to be some penalties going out soon-ish as I'm looking at the steward sheet lining up. As we're being treated to another Dixon and Jensen battle for this championship. They're both looking very racy and close to each other, as I'm seeing Dixon get a little bit wobbly there through the last corner, but still managing to make some time up onto the Porsche. Such is the power of the Boatley on straight lines. There's a big train after being held up by Alejandro Chiribao, I believe, as there's Chiribao about 4 seconds behind Burnswood in P4, and then everybody else less than a second behind each other, all the way down to P13. So there's this long train being held up by Alejandro at the moment. As I'm going to be struggling to look at who the hell car 80 is.
Evan Piogni here being chased down by Lucas Fisher as well. Two of the more colourful Ferraris in the field. A ton of people still close around the track, which is great to see.
Yeah, I do believe. Yeah, there was a penalty coming out for a car number 80, but it does look like that car has left the server. So.
Oh, and here is Dan Terry in the replay. Spins it into turn one. Doesn't lose too much time from it, but does lose a couple of positions.
I think car number 80 was Hawkins, because I can't find him anywhere. Oh, no, car number, no, Hawkins is 27. Never mind. It is in P27.
Car number 80 is Carlos Bandera, who was involved in the big crash at the end of turn one and has...
Oh, right, yeah, he has left the server. Yeah, he was going to get a... Yeah.
Oh, so we've got side-by-side here, Paul Cramp and Fabian Geno, as Sam Teague has managed to get past all of these guys. Dan Perry right on the back of his fight after making his mistake. And Jose Martins catching up as well.
Yeah, not much movement going on at the moment between positions. As we said, it's a fairly difficult track to overtake on, so people are going to be biding their time, trying to not get into any incidents. But we're definitely still seeing quite a lot of tension here in the Chiribao train. John Dudley there had a incredible momentum at the start of the race. He's kind of bogged down now in P10. He's behind David Long, not really being able to make any headway.
And then we've got Joseph Cocking there, who's fighting with Paul Gratrix, trying to take the fifth position back.
Yeah, he was falling behind for a second, but now he's definitely making up those places. But he is, I think, in a fairly tough spot because he's got Cambly right behind him, and if he wants to make a move, he better make sure it sticks, or else he might end up losing the position. Horia as well, definitely quite hungry to get ahead. He's currently in a very good position if he can get if he can get ahead of these AM drivers, because he's looking for that third spot and to be the final person to be banned, as Janssen still maintains the lead. Miles Dixon less than a second behind him. So yeah, this is going to be another Janssen-Dixon battle, and I do believe it's going to come down to the pits again. Seeing some penalties coming out for Lewis Hawkins, so he's already down 27, and his day is definitely getting worse. As Joseph Cocking has a slightly substandard old hairpin, which is going to bring Cambly right up behind him, going into the right-hander, but that actually backs everybody up, and Benjamin Horia is now looking racy as well as they come into Coppice. Still close. Definitely a bit frustrating there for Horia. There's no real space for him to make a move. You might want to do something in the hairpin, but it's all about that chicane, about being able to cut over those curbs as well as possible. I'm thinking, since you do have 3 strikes before you get a penalty, maybe some people will opt to, as we see, Cambly actually looking down the inside of Cocking, the Cocking managing to stay calm onto the brakes and carry enough speed to stay ahead. Backs him up into Horia now, though.
Yeah, that's given Horia a big chance to try and make some move here. As you said, when you're in a chain of cars like this, you really need to be decisive on these moves and not lose yourself time with a move that will not work if you can help it.
Yeah, up in the front, we do see Janssen actually gaining a bit of an advantage now over Dixon. Now 1.5 seconds gap between first and second, so Miles needs to pick up the pace to keep himself in that undercut range. It's not that strong at this track, it's short, and the times are quite close together. Horia again making up some good pace behind Cambly. Just I do think that Aston Martin just has a bit of an advantage on the higher end of speed, as he always seems to be just closing in at the end of the straights, not really being able to do much about it as they come into the corners.
These guys keeping this battle really consistent at the front of this train. You can see this battle been going on for so long because everyone ahead is really pulling away from him.
Kiribau's actually managed to pull away from that train now. He's gone clear ahead, so he's just going to try to keep that gap open. And at this rate, I do think he has a chance of getting that third position, does he not? Yeah, he's
right up there.
Yeah. Yeah, David Cox is his main rival, and he's all the way down in P13. And then you've got John Dudley, who's further back. Benjamin Hoyt is behind him as well.
Esposito here going around the outside of Martinez into the inside for the hairpin. Is Martinez going to get the switch back? He will, but he is now on the outside for the next hairpin.
So as you're saying that, there's a bit of a battle there going on between Long, Greytrix, and John Dudley for in P8, 9, and 10 there. Greytrix actually was on the inside in turn 1, but Long managed to keep speed. As we see Greytrix on the grass in the old hairpin, that's going to let Dudley pass up the hill. Easy mistake to make there when you're fighting somebody else. Following through that corner close is very difficult. Now Daniel Duret right up on all over Paul Greytrix in that Lamborghini. Let's hope Paul can get back into his rhythm. It's very easy to make mistake after mistake on this track.
It was definitely one of those where mistakes beget mistakes.
Yeah, Cocking managing to open up a little bit of a gap now with Cambly, but definitely something that can be closed up in a single mistake.
Paul
Oh,
Cramp's
we had
having
a
a bit
little
of a
bit of
bad day at the back of the field as well.
We're having a bit of three wide there with Daniel Durrett, Fernandez, and David Cox, 11th, 12th, and 13th. It was a three wide coming into the hairpin, and now it's kind of been settled. But there's definitely there's David Cox there on the inside of Pedro Fernandez, making it stick actually, going up to P12, overtaking Pedro and starting to chase down Daniel Durrett. And now Pedro is standing to lose his position to Dixon Chen as well, getting slowed down the final corner, but keeping his position. Dixon Chen now being backed up a little bit into Andy Thorpe. Cox now opening up a little bit of a gap between him and Fernandez. He's going to try to chase down Paul Greatrix. He's the next one up the field who is in his split, but Durrett is going to be between the two, so he does need to make another overtake. And Durrett doesn't really have any reason to let him pass, even though they are in the same split. There's no rules, and in different splits, there's no rules telling anybody to let the other guy pass. As we see, Miles Dixon falling behind, actually. Janssen now 3 seconds ahead, kind of outside of undercut range, in my opinion.
McGregor now following Jose Martinez, one of the guys who's fallen a long way down the field, trying to make up time. Sam Teague as well is found himself behind Dan Terry again. He's going to have to make these positions work one more time.
Yeah, Cocking and Cambly there were briefly side by side into the second to last hairpin again. Those hairpins looking to be very good overtaking opportunities, as we were talking about. Really see any other side by sides. Those hairpins kind of a blessing for racing as the train continues.
Oh, big slide there from Daniel Durrett. He's lost the position. He managed to catch it before going into the pit wall.
I mean, definitely the better outcome out of a slide like that. Yeah, the top of the top 10 again is being kind of consolidated. Chirabao managing to stay quite comfortably there in the P4. Nicholas Burnswood is up in P3. Miles Dixon P2 and Rune Janssen P1. Pit lane isn't open yet actually, so the pit window this time is actually quite restrictive. Paul Greatrix, after losing that position to Dudley, has actually fallen behind now. He's 1.4 seconds behind John, so it's kind of struggling for pace. Dudley, they're actually getting up close to David Long now. They'll be looking to get to the head of that train. We might be able to see a Dudley Chirabao fight at the end for that P3.
Pretty big train as well, still right up near the front. All these guys staying close together.
Yeah, so both Chirabao, Horiot, and Dudley are actually fighting for that band position. They're currently P4, P7, and P9. Looking like there might be a bit of combat between them, is because really in their split, they're right next to each other. Right, we got Chirabao, and then we got Horiot, and then we got Dudley. That's the order at the moment for pro split.
A lot of the top AM drivers here. David Long, who was sitting on board with Chambly and Cocking just ahead of him, all just in the middle of his paddle, just keeping it awkward.
There might be. Where is Sam Teague at the moment? Yeah, he's pretty far back. Actually, we might be seeing a situation where Sam Teague even loses the second position at the moment. I know it's quite a bit of a long shot, but he's all the way down P20.
He's got the race pace, but we've seen him just on standing there, saw him overtake Dan Terry for the second time this race, after starting far ahead of Dan, who had a grid penalty. So yeah, he's got the speed, but can he have the consistency for the rest of this race?
And another car leaving the server. I do believe it's car 404. So Paul Cramp has decided to bail on this race. Quite a few people not having the best day. Miles Dixon now a whole 5 seconds behind Rimley Janssen. Janssen definitely having dominating pace this race.
Yep, he's back on form now. Over 1 lap. Doesn't have quite the dominance over our field, but definitely has the consistency. He's sort of been the opposite of people like Sam Teague and Daniel Durrett here. As the pit window opens, so we will start seeing some pits here, which will definitely throw the field into a bit of chaos and split our guys up as we see Lewis Hawkins going wiggly.
Yeah, Pedro Fernandez actually, who's currently our second place driver in Tier 2. He's down in P12, and we do have quite a few people there ahead of him who could definitely take that title away from him. The person I'm looking at the moment is David Long. David Long is right behind Fabio Genna at the moment, a single point, and as things stand, he's going to be taking second position in Tier 2 as we get a 15-second penalty applied to Andy Behan. So that's a whole 25 seconds of penalties to serve for Behan. He's definitely not had a clean race. It's right ahead of him, actually. There's quite a bit of a fight going on between Jose Martinez, Lewis Hawkins, and Marston. So, yeah, it's fight at the back there. P24, 25, and 26. They're looking very racy. A little bit of weaving actually going on down there. All Greatrix decides to jump into the pits. He's the first of the people in the top 10 who decided to go to the pits, as we see Lewis Hawkins also going into the pits. I do think Rumla is going to decide to go long at the moment. There's no real reason for him to pit in right now. It does look like it's pretty far away from actually lapping anybody. He might be able to just stretch this out to the end of the pit window. So it's all up to Miles to make something happen at the moment.
Absolutely, you don't want to risk doing that outlap on cold, under pressure tyres, which aren't going to give you the pace. As Charlie still fighting Cocky for first here, is really almost getting up the inside there, being pretty aggressive on it.
There are quite a few penalties coming out to the people around at the back. I think they're all involved in these incidents at the start of the race. Just seeing a penalty from McGregor. I do believe that that penalty from McGregor, I think that spin at the chicane, I don't think that might have been just him spinning on his own. He might have tapped somebody. Looking at the top 10, we got Benjamin Horiot now, 4 tenths behind Cambly, still kind of stuck there.
Yeah, he's got this battle for first and am right in front of him, which is going to be even more difficult to get past than just a regular overtake for position, because these two are not going to want to lose time on each other.
Yeah, and Joseph Cocking, I think this is the highest we've seen him at the moment. He's definitely doing very well in this race compared to his other races. So he's going to be wanting to hold on to this quite a lot. Definitely one of his better tracks. And he definitely got the pace to keep Cambly behind him. So I don't know if Horiot is definitely struggling here. I do think it's also a thing about pace. I don't know if he has the actual pace to make these overtakes happen, which isn't very good for him, as Chirabao is still comfortably in 4th position.
Yeah, comfortably, but it does look to me like Cocking is closing up to him a bit. Obviously, that doesn't mean much if they're in different splits yet, but he starts losing the pace to these AM guys. That could mean Horiot does have a chance going further into this race.
We have a yellow flag from somebody. Oh, that's Janssen! Janssen's on the grass in the old hairpin.
Oh, buddy. We're going to have to hop into the replay to see how that one happened. Here he is, leading the race, coming down the hill. Does he just get a bit too much turning? No, he's getting into the braking zone. And he just get too much turning after braking for the old hairpin. And he, on the middle of the track, gets off the track nice and quickly. Oh, that's a typical mistake. That is That is such an easy mistake to make. Comes off of the grass, and obviously, as soon as your front tires grip up, the rear tires try to come around on you a little bit there, and he has fallen right down now, just ahead of Sam Teague, who he has lapped. And that's the Sam Teague back just ahead of Dan Terry. Then
So now we've
Nathan
got
Burns, with behind him, is on the lap with Rummel.
yeah. So I got Miles Dixon about 8 seconds ahead. So we've seen this before. Last week, Rumley was comfortably in the lead. I do think he might be one of these drivers who actually needs somebody to pressure him to keep him sharp, because he got in the lead again comfortably last week and did the same thing. He just sort of spun on his own.
Yep.
Though this track is quite easy to do that on, especially the old hairpin. You take a little bit too much, you go on the grass, and you end up spinning. Now let's see if that pace advantage after this spin doesn't go away. Because really, as we were seeing before, he he does have quite a bit more pace than Miles, so we could be seeing a battle at the end of the race if Rumley can keep it together and his tires weren't completely destroyed by that spin.
Yep. Although he still, like him, he hasn't pit obviously. So if his tires are a little bit wrecked after that spin, he does have a chance to go in and change them. As we're seeing a load of our drivers having pit, down to over half of now. I think 15 drivers have not pit at this point.
Yeah, John Dudley's just finished his pit stop now. He's on P15. So we're going to be looking at him quite closely. He is fighting for that third position. He needs to try to do something to get ahead of Benjamin Horiot. So that's something we should look at. I do believe he also needs to beat Churabao. So he's definitely not in a good position, as Benjamin Horiot actually dives into the pits with David Long behind him. So I'm going to be actually keeping an eye on Horiot. Let's see if Dudley can get ahead of at least one of his rivals. Churabao electing to go long, as he's still quite comfortably there in fourth position, now third. But he is coming up to some lap traffic, so there might be a reason for him to just go to the pits and not lose any time.
Dudley is into the last sector to try and make his undercut work.
I mean, Horiot is still actually stationary. This pit lane is pretty slow. It's pretty short. So.
Yeah. Not too bad now, as we can see both of them here. There he is, Horiot moving. Dudley coming around the last corner, so Horiot still has a little bit to go at reduced speed, but it looks like he has managed to stay ahead.
Question is, does he have anyone between him and Dudley? I do believe it might be Long. Yeah, it's David Long, just barely there.
Dudley is on, obviously, the up to temp, up to pressure tires, so he can try to make something happen immediately, and he needs to do so to lose as little time as possible. But David Long's going to be going slightly slow through this early sector, and that is going to be hampering the Bentley the whole way. So he's going to try and dive onto the inside, into this top sector. He just can't make it. The road is too wiggly in front of there, and he's now stuck behind David for at least a few more corners. We'll see if he can make it work down into the first hairpin.
Yeah, David doesn't have any reason to let him go, and this time loss now for John might actually prove to be fatal for his attempt to get banned. As you're actually seeing Rumley, he was making some time up to Miles, but then lost it again. So it does look like he might have been a bit shaken by that by a little incident.
Yeah, Donington definitely a racetrack where confidence really matters.
And the top 10 now is quite spaced out. The smallest gap was between Churabao and Cocking at 1.1 second. The fight between Cocking and Cambly has definitely cooled down now. Cocking being he's pretty much the clear victor here. There's a 2-second gap between them, and Cock's always 6 seconds behind that.
Yep, we still have 11 drivers to pit and one who is pitting. So we are right at the most split up part of our race. So while there is less happening, I want to thank everyone for watching here for our finale race.
We've got Roomlet now, going into the pits. So let's hope he gets a good pit stop. We might be able to see that fight with Dixon because he hasn't really been gaining any time during that stint. So he's probably going to be happy to get off these tires as Miles Dixon is contending with a little bit of lap traffic here with Dixon Chen as we reach the halfway point of this long race. Not longer race. Quite a few penalties coming out in these in this race compared to the others. Just kind of, I think, the nature of a track that's hard to overtake on.
Yeah, obviously, what happens is that the gold split is so much more consistent time-wise than our lower splits, which means that they are so much closer together for so much more of the race, and so those little incidents are far more likely to happen. When the field is slightly more spread, if you miss your braking point by a little bit, you're very unlikely to hit a car or anything.
So Jansen's come out of the pits and he's got completely clear air in front and behind him. There's like at least 10 seconds, I think, between him and the nearest car. 13 seconds, actually. So he's in a very good position to make up some time as Dixon actually dives into the pits right now. So I'm going to keep the camera on him.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. He was very far ahead, so, you know,
Yeah.
I would doubt that Rummel has made it happen, but we will have a look, because obviously there is that possibility.
I don't think he's made it happen, but I don't think he really has to. You see, the thing is, Jansen's now got clear air, and he might end up with Dixon being the only car ahead of him. So that's still going to be an advantage, I believe, with no lap traffic and clear air between the two. And if you can make up a little bit of time, you know, there's nothing. He needs every advantage he can get.
Yeah. Porsche is coming up to the last corner. We saw just before the last corner, the last time the car starts moving, it looks like it will be out ahead. Obviously, it comes down to where he is in the pit lane, but he's quite near the end of the pit lane. So Dixon is out ahead. A little bit less of a gap than the last pit battle that we ended up watching, but still out in the lead. Jensen can spy his target now and is going to start chasing him down for the rest of the race.
Yeah, honestly, that was a fantastic pit battle because if you remember, the difference between you two was much smaller. It's only 2.8 seconds now, so you gained a whole 5 seconds in that pit stop. That was an incredible undercut. It's currently in the lead of the race is Joseph Cocking. Likes to go long. Cambly likes to go into the pit, so that's our battle for the lead of the AM class, starting their pit battle. As Cambly dives into the pits, he's the first one to blink, and he is going for an undercut.
We'll definitely be watching that once Cocking comes in for his pit stop. Thorpe in the pits as well. He's third position in the AMs right now. David Long in 12th position. So we'll see where they come out compared to him, who pit a while ago.
Important development here for P3 in the championship. We've got Benjamin Horiot and Alejandro Chirabao now fighting each other. They're both for position in P11 and P10, as Horiot is actually on the inside of the second to last hairpin, managing to stay side by side. Gonna try to do something, hopefully in the last corner as well. He's still within striking distance, but kind of slightly overcooks his braking point. He's going to try to do a switchback and keep into that slipstream, but I don't know. The Aston Martin not very good in these acceleration zones. This Cambly's going to come out right in front of him. Oh, there's a bit of a tussle here going on.
Yeah, and Cambly's got right in the middle of that. That is really upsetting for them both.
Yeah. I thought for a second Cambly's going to let them go, but he decides to slot into the inside. And, oh, Benjamin looking definitely frustrated there, trying to do some bit of a Hail Mary around the outside of the old hairpin. But, yep, not a lot of work. As Joseph Cocking dives into the pits.
Excellent. So we just watched Lewis Hawkins get overtaken by Alvin Strom, and now we can move on to the pit battle for the lead of AM.
Yeah, Cocking's just stopped, so he's starting his 30-second pit stop. I don't know if I do believe tire change is mandatory, so we're gonna have 30 seconds always, unless he's doing some damage. David Cox is also in the pits. He's also fighting for that third position.
Here we go. We're getting once again up to the point, almost the same. All three of these pit battles have been where we've seen people coming just up to the last hairpin before the car leaves.
Hawking is now right out of the pits with... Yeah, Cambly's pretty far back, actually. So that undercut attempt completely backfired. They actually got Horiot right behind him still. And yeah, that's going to put some pressure. As we see somebody on the grass. I don't know. Was it? Whoa, somebody's really on the grass. Yeah, that's Marston. Yeah, he's on the grass. Oh my god. Yeah, that was... I think he lost the back a little bit. He's having some issues. Definitely having some issues.
Him there, getting rejoining on the offside of the track, keeping it safe. Obviously, tyres messy as hell now, so he's going to have to be real careful with that. So we see, Shirabao fighting. Oh, Cocking's gone off. Cocking's gone wide. Cocking has binned it on cold tyres, and that has given Chambly the lead and has fixed his failed undercut as he is chasing down Shirabao now.
Speaking of chasing down, gap between Dixon and Janssen was 2.3. Now it's 1.4. They heat up here at the end of the race by the looks of things.
So we've got pretty close battles for both of the leads of our split here. As Chambly in the middle of Chirabao and Horiot is also slightly messing up this battle for 5th position. Or 4th position once direct pits.
Yeah, Dredd currently in the lead, but only by virtue of not having pit. So Chirabao's still on that road, I believe, to 3rd position in Tier 1. There's Horiot's behind him, but I wonder if it's still enough points now, as he's quite a bit further back. No, he's still put 4th place, so yeah. Yeah, as it stands, I don't think Chirabao is actually going to be able to take that 3rd position from Benjamin. He does need to either get an overtake done on Burnswood, and that's 4 seconds, or we need Benjamin to somehow get overtaken, as he's going around the inside of Coppis there, trying to go around Chambly, but not enough on the inside, let's say, as we have our last driver to pit. Daniel Durrett going into the pits. Benjamin definitely a little bit caught there behind Chambly. And we're going to be looking here at what John Dudley can do, because if John Dudley overtakes Benjamin, he might not climb up to P3 in the rankings, but he might give Chirabao that 3rd position.
Well, Benjamin has gotten past Chambly now, and that has put him right back with Cocking. So these two fighting for the lead of AM still, as Jensen chases down Dixon for the lead of Pro.
Yeah, the gap is coming up and down, but we're going to see. There's still 21 minutes left in the race. Anything can happen. This is a short track, and mistakes, as we've seen, are quite abundant. Brett's still in the pits. He's actually gonna come out pretty well. He's in P4 now in AM, I believe. No, he's P5. He did lose actually more than I thought, as my camera's quite glitchy here at Donington.
Not the best place for the fancy cam, unfortunately.
Yeah, the top 3 in AM is definitely looking pretty spicy. Everybody's within a second of each other, and they're all fast and clean drivers. So definitely need to take a look at that, as the top 5 is pretty spaced out, as Rumla is actually kind of slowly losing ground on Dixon again. I do think it's all about traffic, as Dixon is now overtaking Martinez, I believe, and Rumley just now overtook somebody else. So it's all about traffic, and that's how the gaps are currently going up and down.
Martinez The latest person to be being lapped by our leaders.
Well, as it's looking, Benjamin definitely the favorite here to get banned. And if Chirabo is ahead of him, I do see a Porsche in the wall. It's a back marker though. Let me real quick. That would be Rodelli. Yeah, Rodelli's now teleported to the pits, so that's the end of his race. He ended up bidding it after turn 1, so that was an interesting place to bin. Wonder if that was oh, Dan Terry's got a drive through. L Dan's got a drive through. That was yeah.
He's been cutting that chicane, hasn't he?
Yeah, it's not given by the stewards, so it's a cutting penalty.
Yeah, so he has to take the drive of shame there through the pits.
Cambley still ahead of Cocking. Fight still close, but none of them is budging. Benjamin Horiot now trying to chase down Chirabab, but not really making up any positions, as the gap between Dixon and Janssen is actually staying about the same at the moment. Sam Teague is up into P16 actually after that disastrous start. Chasing down Dixon Chen right behind him through the chicane. Always tough to follow there and losing a little bit of time. I'm going to end up just using Helicam for this track.
Yeah. We have a few people still close by the last lap. Obviously, Sam Teague, as he said, trying to hit Dixon. He's still got a couple of people left to overtake if he's going to gain any more points. Steve Cox is the next person who will actually give him an improvement in the standings.
Hope Teague doesn't hit Dixon. And by the way, we are talking about Dixon Chen, not Miles Dixon. He's still in the lead. But now gap is only 1.6 seconds. So now they've cleared traffic. Janssen's again with a bit of a pace advantage. Looking like it's going to be a fight to the end here for both Am and for Pro, as Janssen is now at 1.2 seconds. He's getting a lot of time here on Dixon as they're starting a new lap. Janssen can almost touch Dixon now. It is a fight for a bit of a symbolic fight because Dixon is pretty far down the order in the championship. But I mean, they're double points, yes, but we are, this is more of a fight for the race win, as Rumley definitely has the win for, is definitely going to be our winner for the pro category as it stands. Because nobody has enough points to actually beat him as it stands.
Yep, Dixon is essentially going for 6 points here.
Janssen officially in DRS range.
Beautiful.
Cocking and Chambly pretty much stable at about 6 to 8 tenths between them. And Horiot also kind of staying with them. He's not really making any progress in hunting down Chirbao. So yeah, I think it's really the only way Chirbao is going to get that third position though is if John Dudley manages to get past all these AM drivers ahead of him and then past Benjamin. So I don't see that happening. I do think it's pretty safe bet to say that Benjamin Horiot is going to be banned, but you never know. Back in P12, actually, we got Andy Thorpe and Paul Greatrix getting in a bit of a scuffle there. Andy Thorpe looking at the outside of Greatrix. Not much coming out of it, but that is going to get They're gonna let David Cox think of doing something here after the old hairpin, as it did slow down Andy just enough. Moves did slow Andy just enough to put him within striking distance, and David Cox getting a very good exit out of the old hairpin. And Andy Thorpe has to go defensive and manages to do so, keeping David behind, getting to the top of the hill, eating a little bit of grass there on the inside, David Cox. So that's probably going to put him outside the striking distance through Coppice. Ending that fight, but definitely Andy Thorpe definitely not out of danger here.
Yep, as Rumble Johnson is already banned from wins, David Cox right now is in the last position to be banned. Although Alejandro looks like he's going to be taking that from him up in 4th position.
Well, we do have Benjamin Horia, who I do think he's going to be keeping that 3rd position. He's up in P5 at the moment. I don't think Chirabao is going to get enough points to unseat him.
Yep, but Rumble Johnson is already banned for wins, so the top 3 is 2, 3, and 4.
Ah, I did not know it goes that way. So yeah, then yeah. We're getting a lot of bans then.
Yeah, we need to try and keep the speed of this rookie league down, so we're getting as many of these fast boys out as we can. Rumble Johnson improving on his best lap time of this session, is right up behind Dixon now, really putting the pressure on.
Well, then it does look like Chirabao is going to be getting himself banned because he doesn't really have any competition. He's actually ahead of Horia at the moment. Speaking of which, Rumle Jansen now 6/10 behind Miles Dixon. This is heating up, and we've got about 13 minutes left in the race. Rumle can definitely take his time. There's about 8 to 9 laps left, I believe, in this race at the moment. Yeah, I'm going to be keeping an eye on this top 2 battle. Gap is now 3/10 coming to the coming to the first corner. No move here from Jansen. He's probably going to take his time. He's gonna look at where he can get out, overtake done. He's gonna just stay there and look at Miles. Maybe try to push him into a bit of a mistake as they come through the old hairpin. The exit here is so crucial. Both of them. Oh, Miles, it takes a bit of grass there, getting a little bit wiggly. That's going to let Jansen get very close up at the top of the hill. Miles is going to need to go defensive. He doesn't. That allows Rumle to get onto the inside. Almost makes it stick. Very difficult to actually get the overtake done. Doesn't manage to do it. Still behind through Coppice and actually going a little bit wide. So that's going to be the end of the fight for now. Looking further back, you actually got Chambly right behind Horiup now. He's going to want to do something.
He's making a little bit of a gap on Cocking there for a while now, so he's keeping himself safe.
And in P13, we've also got David Cox and Andy Thorpe, who are having a bit of a scuffle, but David did eat a bit of grass there, so it's going to be is going to fall back a bit. Gotta keep an eye on these top 2 now, because again, they're starting a new lap going into the first corner. Only 1/10 between them. Miles has to go defensive into the first corner. Rumle tries to go around the outside, but doesn't manage to carry the speed. He's gonna stay behind him. Gets a little bit on the grass, but so does Miles. So this fight is still on. Going into the old hairpin now. Again, very crucial exit. Rumle a little bit far to the inside.
Nice and fast through the actual corner though, on the apex. Very hard to get in the middle here. He needs to be right up in the back if he's going to dive in this corner, so he just needs to tuck in behind, take good lines, and keep the speed going down into the last section of this track.
Yeah, that was a bit of a missed apex there, a little bit of a fumbled corner, so he's not going to be able to do anything through Coppice, but we got to look at these hairpins now.
Yeah, but there the Bentley has a mistake as well.
Coming into the chicane.
It comes down to whether he's going to make the dive at the chicane or wait for the hairpin. He does the smart thing, I believe, goes to the outside, just takes the good line, tries to get a run through the chicane, but it looks like the Bentley just chunks those curves so well, he just doesn't care.
He's not going to be able to do anything in the second to last hairpin, but again, we're going to need to look at that first corner. There's a lot of defending going on, but Roomle can definitely taste that win. Looking at that board as well, Cocking's now back in the fight with Chambly, back in P7. As we're again looking at Jensen, maybe trying to do something in the first corner, decides to stay behind and follow closely. So it's all about that old hairpin again. Oh, there's a bit squirrely there on the exit. That's not good.
Yep,
More
both
distance
of them
now.
have shown they can make those mistakes throughout this lap, so I doubt they're going to get too far apart. As we saw Dixon Shen there had binned it in this corner. He's actually a yellow flag just up ahead, so let's hope for the sake of our leaders that he's off the track here.
Okay, as we go past that yellow flag, he was not off the track. That's a very dangerous place to be stopped in.
He was not off the race. He was off the racing line over. So our leaders do just swing past, nice and safe.
Yeah, something's happened to him because he's just stopped there. He's not going to the pits or anything. We did have this happen before, did we not? When somebody's monitor ended up turning off.
Yep, could be some sort of issue like that. Some sort of out of game issue that has put him to a halt.
Chambly and Horia also getting spicy. Chambly, Horia, and Cocking. That is the fight for our. So it's Chambly, Horia, Cocking, and David Long. He's kind of far back, but we do have a fight for the lead of Am between Chambly and Cocking. Looking again at Jansen and Miles Dixon as they go past Lewis Hawkins and they start their new lap. They're gonna have some traffic to contend to as they go over the hill, I believe, and that's gonna be Kelly Esposito. I mean, through the old hairpin, both of them quite fast. Yeah, Dixon Chen's been removed from the race as he stopped on the track.
So that gets him out of the way for our leaders to come by now. Much better exit there from Ronald Jensen. That is huge. He's right up the back of this Bentley again. And that's fixed all his issues earlier in the lap.
Yeah, unfortunately, quite difficult to get a better exit when you got a face full of Bentley butt. But as they're going through the chicane, that's some interesting moves going past and lapping Esposito. Into the second to last hairpin again, just not close enough for Roomle to make a move, but still 7 minutes left in the race. Still all to play for.
Yeah, we have confirmation in the chat from the man himself that his game froze, and that's why he was stuck in the corner. Unfortunately, he was running in about 16th position at that time.
Dixon trying a little bit, not Dixon, sorry, Jensen trying to go down the inside of turn one and immediately saying, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Decides to slot in behind. Dixon having a squirrely exit of turn one, so that's going to be very close to the old hairpin. They're coming through it right now. Both of them pretty much perfect lines on entry. And they both pretty much have the exact same line. They're both quite good out the corner as well. One of them being really faster than the other one. Looking through, it looks like the fight currently has cooled down a little bit. Still, there's some traffic coming up actually. There's going to be quite a lot of traffic between for Miles and Roomle to clear. I do think that might open up some opportunities for overtakes as the next lapped car is going to be Piogni and then Dan Terry.
Yeah, it's an awkward, calmest match here as I was talking about when we were watching the qualifying laps. Really need to be good out of the corner right at the top of the hill and the chicane, but actually really close there, Rummel. They're going down side by side to the first corner. Not going to make it because he's on the outside here.
I think so, yeah.
But really getting a nice run through that last corner. Unfortunately, it's just not the corner you need. You need to be fast in those first two corners before the first hairpin.
That exit from the first corner was monstrous. He's actually all over the back of him through the old hairpin, which again is probably not the best position to be in. You want to be all over the back of him now, but because he was so close to him through the old hairpin, he couldn't follow close enough, and now he's gonna end up, I think, stuck behind him for another lap.
I think the moment that really is ruining it for Rummel here is this corner at the top of the hill that we are coming up to.
This, yeah.
Yeah, this one that we've just gone past, because you can see how he's not close here. He's close so many other places on the lap. Through the first sector, he's real close. Through there, he's not close, and he just can't take the chicane as well either most of the time. A little bit of a mistake there from the Bentley makes it close.
So a little bit further back for in P3, we've got Nathan Burnswood has actually fallen all the way back to Alejandro Chiribao. So there's a fight for the bottom step of the podium as well, as Chiribao is only 4/10ths back.
You can see here Rummel right up behind Dixon as soon as he's gone through the hairpins. Can get in for a dive on the first corner, perhaps. Welcome all of Dixon Chen's viewers.
Yeah, the Porsche is just a fantastic car for these slow corners.
Ooh, Ferrari there. Piogne almost lost it behind Dan Terry. Luckily doesn't get in the way of our leaders at all.
Got Chiribao also getting racy here in the first corner, trying to slot in around the outside, but Nathan immediately shutting him down. He's gonna try the whole. He's gonna follow him closely through the old hairpin. Let's see if he manages to get that better exit. And then we're also going to be looking at Cocking and Chambly, because they're also less than 5/10ths between each other. As I do think Nathan Burnswood there does get a slightly worse exit.
And
Will
once
that be...
again, there, this is the best that it's been for him. But you can see the Porsche at that corner again, losing time on the Bentley. The Bentley's just so much more confident on the acceleration coming out of that corner. Now coming up to lapping Dan Terry.
We got 3 battles going on, actually. A battle for P1, a battle for P3, and a battle for P6 for the top of AM.
They got past Dan, a little bit of a tight line there by the Bentley to do so Dixon's under a little bit of pressure. Jensen here will want to take just a good line, try and switch back, and he does do so. Really nice run, but Dixon does once again have the inside line into the first corner. They're side by side down the main straight. Don't know if it's going to necessarily come to anything, because again he has the inside line. It's going to be very hard for him to
he's still keeping it there, but a little bit squirrely on the exit. Difficult to keep that car straight. But are they still side by side? I don't know from this angle. They're almost still side by side, going into the old hairpin. Yeah. That did actually compromise Miles's line. So very good attack there by Rumle now.
But Miles
going to be side by side up the. Yeah, but it's side by side up the hill, and he's going to have the inside.
Miles switches over, and that might be what makes it for the Porsche. They're coming up.
Oh, there's contact! There's contact! Oh, and Rumle spins!
Rumle does spin. Oh no, don't slow down, Dixon. I don't think that was your fault. I hope Dixon doesn't just slow down and give that back, because I'm not sure that was his fault, but...
Yeah, I don't know what to say, as Chiribao is 1/10 behind Burnswood. That fight's also heating up. But yeah, I think that's the end of that fight with... no, Rumle's right behind. So yeah, Miles did actually slow down.
Dixon has slowed down for him. We'll see if he gives up the position. Hopefully he's just slowed down so that they can restart their fight, which would be very sportsmanlike of him.
Honestly, my immediate sort of judging of that incident is that it was a racing incident. It's very hard to stay on the outside there, and it was very hard to take that inside line by Rumle, and he just sort of ended up getting into that contact as he did. Oh, there's a switchback in the final corner. That's gonna let Rumle, I think, go past. Let's see, the Bentley's definitely faster on that straight.
It might just end up doing the same thing again. They're going side by side into the first corner. They're going to try and complete a successful side by side lap this time, perhaps.
Well, a much better exit by Rumle this time, though. So he might end up getting in front. He is in front going into the old hairpin. That might end up sealing the deal here. Miles, though, definitely doesn't give up on that position, and I think he's got a slightly better exit. Bentley also with a lot of grunt while that's happening. And look at Chiribao. They're also going through the old hairpin. We actually only have 48 seconds left in the race. Will there be another? Oh,
Dixon is out on the grass, manages to catch it before going into the wall and get back onto the track, so he's not going to lose anything else.
This is the final lap, I think, is it? It might be.
It might be. Is this or one more? I think it might be one more.
See, if Chirba can do anything, he's also very close to Burnswood, but just not really managing to do anything. It's Burnswood is just faster through all the important bits. Yeah, we do have one more lap left, I believe. Oh, but only barely. No, we don't. We don't. This is the final lap. It's got to be. 4, 3, 2, 1, and yeah, that's the end of the race. Rumley Jansen takes it.
The leader has finished the race.
Congratulations to him. A little bit of a pity how it ended up ending, but great racing, as has been said in chat, between Dixon and Jensen. So huge shout out to those guys. A lot of other close battles throughout the field. Coming back here, we can see these four, Horiot, Chambly, Clocking, and Long. Horiot and the three leaders of AM, still incredibly close to each other, have been running together for a long time. Sam Teague managing, after binning it in the first lap, right to the back of the field to make it up to 15th position.
And that means Chirbow is most definitely banned, because he's finishing ahead of Benjamin Horiot, who's currently third in the standings overall, even behind Janssen. So there's a bit of chaos goes on at the end of the race, as post-race donuts for the final race are definitely allowed, and only allowed but encouraged. We're seeing people definitely having a lot of fun now. This was quite an exciting race at the end. I do believe a worthy finale, and just shows how good of a track Donington is.
Yeah, fantastic track. Gets fantastic racing. Fantastic corner lapping as well. A big fan of Donington. Absolutely love it. Didn't really know the beauty of Donington until I joined Sim Racing GP, who obviously we are hugely thankful for hosting all of our events. And there we go. That was being the end of Season 6. Obviously, we have the next season will be announced tomorrow on stream by Dan Terry. Some of the changes that are coming will be being shown and hyped. So you have any last words before you hop off? Because I believe you said you wouldn't be staying or wait for the stats to update.
Honestly, I can't wait to join you guys again to race. I'll be taking part in Season 7 now, probably in Tier 6, but yeah, can't wait to see you guys on the track again, as I'm being released from the hell that is university. Stay in school, guys.
It has been good fun watching and competing this season. As someone who has already seen the tracks for next season, I could say I'm pretty happy with them. Not quite this season. I think this season was just an absolute banger in terms of tracks. It was all of my favourite tracks, basically. So hard to beat that, but we're definitely going to have a good time.
Alrighty, and I think with that, I'm going to be hopping off the game. I'm still going to be around here for a little bit. I can't play Wreckfest because I do not have it, and my rig is in pieces. But
yeah, so we have a Wreckfest server set up for us by David Long. So huge shout out to him. I will be back in a second once I found it, and we'll see if we can get some guys into there. So if you have Wreckfest first in the chat, make sure to come and join us after this little break.